Isa siyang aktor, huwara ng mga kabataan, anak, kapatid at kaibigan. Samahan kaming makiramay sa pagpanaw ni Rico Yan. Magandang gabi. Sa ngalan ng aking partner na si Mari Caimo, ako si Karen Davila. Ito ang producer's cut ng The Correspondents.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Ako po si Rico Yan, isang artista. Pero ngayong gabi, ako po ang inyong magiging correspondent. Para sa akin, mas misteryoso, mas maintriga, at mas malaking hamon na maging bahagi ng totoong mundo ng mga tunay na tao.
Teach me to trust in you with all of my heart, to lean not on my own understanding, 'cause I just forget. You won't give me what I can't bear. Take me out of the dark.
Sa akin, sabi na, masaya ako pare, pero hindi maiiwasan yun na pag mag-isa ka na lang umiiyak ka.
Lately, I've been winning battles left and right, but even winners can get wounded in the fight.
Ang fear ko is, at the end of the day, masabi ko na I didn't do my best. At least sa akin, I did my best. Kahit na hindi ako mag-succeed sa showbiz. Basta masabi ko that I did my best, okay na yan.
They don't know that I come running home when I fall down. They don't know who picks me.
Love pa rin. Ako love. Ewan ko, ikaw.
Forever.
Ako po, gaya nyo rin, ay bahagi ng mas malaking entablado ng tunay na buhay.
The warrior is a child.
Minsan naging bahagi ng aming programa si Rico Yan. Kabilang siya sa henerasyon ng mga martial law babies. Mula sa kanyang pananaw, inilatag niya ang kwento ng kanyang panahon. Narito ang report ng minsan naming naging correspondent na si Rico Yan.
Tandaan mga kabayan, iniibig ko ang Pilipinas. Iniibig ko ang Pilipinas.
Magandang gabi po sa inyo lahat. Ako po si Rico Yan, isang artista. Pero ngayong gabi, ako po ang inyong magiging correspondent. Ako po, gaya nyo rin, ay bahagi ng mas malaking entablado ng tunay na buhay. Para sa akin, mas misteryoso, mas maintriga, at mas malaking hamon na maging bahagi ng totoong mundo ng mga tunay na tao. Martial law babies ang tawag sa amin. Ipinanganak at lumaki sa isang panahon na marami ang bawal at marami ang mahirap maintindihan. Sa Universidad ng Pilipinas, na kilalang tahanan ng mga aktivista at rebelde, una kong nakaharap si Casatur Ocampo. Hindi ko talaga kilala si Casatur. The only thing I know about him is that he was one of those who fought martial law. Can you give us a brief, siguro a political, social, and economic setup during the martial law years?
Well, bago yung martial law, lumalaganap na yung mga demonstrations, no? Mga kabataan, mga manggagawa, mga jeepney drivers, at nagkaroon na ng mga organisasyon din, kahit yung mga teachers, yung mga simbahan. Ang kabuuan ng kanilang mga pagtutol ay yung pananatili ng mga policies of government that were not solving the basic problems, the causes of poverty.
Maliit pa ako noon. Para sa akin, ang martial law ay isang panahon na ipinagbawal ang Voltes 5 sa TV. Bawal maglaro sa gabi at lahat ng mapapanood mo ay ito, si Marcos.
Let us change our society. Yes, let us change our society.
Napakagulo, maskin magkakapatid, papatayan mga sundalo eh.
1970s, malapit nang matapos ang term of office ni Presidente Ferdinand Marcos. Hindi na siya ulit pwedeng tumakbo sa pagkapresidente. Kasabay nun, dumadami na rin ang mga tao na kumukontra sa kanya. Bumabagsak na ang ekonomiya. Grabing krimen at kaguluhan sa bansa. At grabing korupsyon sa kanyang gobyerno. Para kay Presidente Marcos, dapat nang disiplinahin ang mga Pilipino.
We have proclaimed martial law in accordance with the powers vested in the President by the Constitution of the Philippines.
Noong September 21, 1972, pinirmahan ni Presidente Marcos ang Presidential Decree 1081.
Don't you think that may katwiran din si Marcos kung bakit siya nag-impose ng martial law? Because, siyempre, may threat rin to society, particularly yung capital ng Philippines.
Ang lolo mo, si Gerald Yan, no, did not believe that Marcos needed to declare martial law, kaya umalis siya. No? So, iba yung kanyang pagtingin, hindi pareho ng kay Marcos. It turned out later that he was correct. No? Yung threat na sinasabi niya sa NPA, napakaliit pa lang ng NPA noon. Nasa Central Luzon at sa maliit na bahagi lang Northern Luzon. It was not in a capacity to overthrow the government.
Ipinangako ni Marcos ang isang bagong lipunan, parang isang fantasy land. At si Marcos ang bidang superhero.
Gusto kong martial law dahil medyo tahimik. Walang manggugulo, takot ang mga tao.
He was the judge, jury, and executioner.
Nandiyan yung hulihin ka na, wala kang kalaban-laban. Nung araw nga, rumor-mungguring lang eh. Huli ka na. Magsasalita ka lang na hindi maganda, huli ka na.
Kahit sa history books at mga kwento, magkaiba ang pananaw tungkol sa batas militar ni Marcos. May nagsasabi na sa ilalim ng new society ni Marcos, naibigay niya ang mga social services at basic needs na dati daw ay malayong pangarap lang ng mga Pilipino.
Nung araw, nung Marcelo ni Macoy, pagdating ng alauna, basta sa kalsada ka, wala ka makita masiaso. So, pag-umpisa mo sa Pasay, Libertad, checkpoint. Pagdating Beto Cruz, checkpoint. Pagdating mo Santa Cruz, checkpoint. Pagdating mo Recto, checkpoint. So, kaya walang gulo eh.
44,000 kilometers ng kalsada ang ipinagawa niya. Libo-libong mga irigasyong nagpatubig sa mga palayan. Murang pabahay para sa mahihirap. Milyon-milyong piso ang ginastos para itayo ang magagarbong cultural at medical centers. 80,000 paaralan ang binuksan at sinugpo ang kriminalidad.
The way that Marcos perceived it, any minority that goes against the majority society is considered a threat to society. Kaya balak niyang i-eliminate ito. Like for example, yung crime nga, yung firearms mismo, it became, during martial law, the Philippines became a very peaceful society.
That's for about 2 years lang yan, no?
2 years
From
lang
70 to 74. After that, nag-iba na yung sitwasyon.
And siguro, don't you think it's possible that Marcos wanted to control the Filipino society by, through fear, because he wanted to unify society in order to achieve a common goal, and that's the development of the country itself?
Actually, ang kayang slogan nun sa ikaunlad ng bayan, disiplina ang kailangan. There's no argument against that. Ngayon, ang naging problem doon, hindi yung disiplina ng tao, kundi disiplina ng nasa gobyerno. Yung militar, yung police, yung civilian bureaucracy. Hindi yun ang naging sample ng type of discipline na patungo rin sa progress.
Pero marami din ang nagsasabi na ang mga benepisyong ibinigay ni Marcos sa mga tao ay barya lang kumpara sa milyong-milyong pisong ninakaw nila sa taong bayan. Sa kabila ng development projects na mag-asawang Marcos, napakaraming Pilipino pa rin ang dumanas ng ibayong kahirapan at kalupitan sa ilalim ng mag-asawang diktador.
Lala ko ng araw, magulo, buhay. delikado pag naghanap buhay sa gabi.
Now, a lot of people have been telling me that he is indeed a great leader. Now, what went wrong?
Great leaders can go wrong, no? Hitler was considered a great leader.
Yes.
But everything went wrong also, no? It is the type of a government that it tried to impose that did not correspond to the demands of society.
Na-i-record na humigit kumulang sa 10,000 katao ang naging biktima ng mga pang-aabuso. At noong 1975, mahigit 46% ng mga Pilipino ang nasa poverty line. Noong 1981, dahil sa pagbisita ni Pope John Paul II sa Pilipinas, napilitan si Marcos na alisin ang martial law. Noong 1983, pinaslang ang mortal na kalaban ni Marcos sa politika, si ex-Senator Benigno Aquino. Dito nagsimula ang unti-unting pagguho ng kapangyarihan ng diktador.
We need a little bit more looking inward, no? Caring after your generation and the generation after you, looking back to the lessons of history para hindi natin uulitin yung mali at pipiliin natin yung tama.
They wanted him to become the youngest congressman, but at that time, he didn't like it.
Itinuring siyang boy next door sa daigdig ng pelikula at telebisyon. Marami din siyang mga naging tagahanga sa panahon ng kanyang pagiging artista. Babalikan ni correspondent Ann Torres kung sino si Ricardo Carlos Yan o Rico Yan sa kanyang mga tagahanga.
Mundo ng showbiz, nakilala si Rico Yan sa kanyang clean image. Hindi naging madali ang kanyang pagsikat, pero sabi nga, weather lang at dumating din ang kanyang panahon. Nitong nakaraang taon, mainstay siya ng Magandang Tanghali Bayan, bida ng isang comedy show, at sa panahong matamlay ang pelikulang Pilipino, nagkaroon ng isang blockbuster movie.
Well, I was looking at Rico as a young Vic Soto because he had the spontaneity in him. I mean, of course, his breathing at saka yung wit niya.
Pero para marating ito, marami muna siyang pagsubok na dinaanan. Isang marketing major siya sa De La Salle University nang ibinahagi ni Rico ang sikreto ng mga gwapo sa isang astringent commercial. Dito siya unang napansin at ipinatawag para mag-screen test sa binubuo pa lamang na ABS-CBN Talent Center.
When I saw the ad kasi, kengkoy siya umarte. So feeling ko, nung panahon na yon, parang, uy, okay to ha, mukhang marunong umarte. So syempre, kung may talent sa pag-arte, pwedeng pumalo as an actor, hindi ba? And then, may itsura, doesn't look too oriental, doesn't look too maitim, doesn't look too tisoy. Parang Pinoy lang na ang dating niya na normal na boy next door, new kid on the block.
Napabilang siya sa unang batch ng Star Circle kasama ni Victor Neri, Regine Tolentino at Maricel Morales. Siya ang naging pinakabatang miyembro ng Sanglinggo na Pusila, pero naging mas patok si Rico bilang commercial model. Maliban sa astringent, nag-endorso din siya ng pizza, biskwit, mineral water, maong at sapatos. Pero dahil hindi pa siya tapos ng pag-aaral at malapit ng mag-thesis, may kondisyon siya sa pagpasok sa showbiz.
Hindi lang niya, pa nag-full artista siya, I should not touch the school skeds up and until graduation. At ginalang namin yon. And the publicity that it gained for Rico was, okay itong batang ito, comes from a good family, tinatapos sa pag-aaral, nag-showbiz on the side. Hindi yung showbiz tapos pag-aaral on the side.
Napansin si Rico bilang artista nang matambal siya kay Judy Ann Santos. Sila ang naging makabagong Guy and Pip at tulad ng naunang tambalan, meron din silang manika ni Juday. Pero hindi maiwasan na sa pagpasok niya sa showbiz, naging target siya ng panunukso sa eskwelahan. Galing siya sa may kaya at kilalang pamilya. Ang kanyang lolo ay si Ambassador Manuel Yan, dating general na kumontra sa pagtawag ni Marcos ng martial law at pinuno ng government panel sa peace talks sa pagitan ng pamahalaan at NDF.
He comes from a buena familia background. I mean, the upbringing would show. He was always polite to others. He was always respectful. He believed in clean living.
Marahil dahil na rin sa kanyang kinalakihan, maraming nagsabing hindi siya magtatagal sa showbiz. Iba ang kalakaran dito. Nung umpisa may mga nagsabi pang malakas masyado ang dating niya sa mga press con. At hindi siya tisoy gaya ng kadalasan kinagigiliwang teen idol. Sa katunayan, ilang ulit niyang naisip na tuluyan ng kalimutan ang pag-aartista, pero hindi siya sumuko agad.
He's a very meticulous worker who would study lines, study scripts, study the segment. If he doesn't know, he would ask. Ayaw na ayaw niya yung lalagay mo siya or isasalang mo siya in TV jargon. Sasalang mo siya on cam, tapos hindi niya alam yung mangyayari.
Rico, come on, Rico!
May iba na nakakalagpas sa ganoong pagtingin na limelight lang to or bread trip lang to. Pwede pala itong trabaho na tama, na pinag-uusayan. May technique pala dito. May craft pala na involved dito. And I think somehow before we separated, I saw that in him.
Pero hindi napigil ang pagsikat ni Rico. Naging lalong popular nang matambal sa kasintahang si Claudine Barreto. May backup na plano si Rico. Kung sakaling hindi man siya magtagal sa pag-aartista, meron siyang negosyong masasandalan. Part owner si Rico ng isang kumpanyang namamahala ng mga restaurant sa Metro Manila, gaya ng Tequila Joe's at Buddy's. Ayon sa kanyang mga kasosyo, matinik si Rico sa negosyo.
He gave a lot of recommendations as to what marketing programs we should focus on for the different concepts. He asked very good questions during board meetings. He related a lot of our growth to certain things. He could read the numbers on financial statements and tell us what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong.
Inalagaan ni Rico ang kanyang clean image, kaya't mapili siya maging sa mga papel sa telebisyon at pelikula. Halimbawa, hindi siya tumanggap ng papel ng isang drug addict dahil hindi raw ito mabuting halimbawa sa kabataan, kahit na sinabing maaaring mag-ani ng award ang papel na ito. Dahil sa imaheng ito, napili pa siyang tagapagsalita para sa kabataan ng Department of Education, Culture and Sports. At nagtayo rin siya ng non-profit youth organization, ang Pinoy Yan. Pinangalanan ito ngayong Rico Yan Foundation at naglalayong magbigay ng scholarship para sa piling kabataan.
Was he planning to go into politics? You know what? Before, I asked him that because there were offers. Funny. There were offers. Yeah, before. I think to start off as councilor, and there was one congressman pa. They wanted him to become the youngest congressman. But at that time, he didn't like it.
Malinis ang imahe ni Rico sa harap o likod man ng kamera. Tahimik na nagkakawang gawa at nagbabahagi kung ano man ang mayroon siya.
We would celebrate his birthdays before quietly, without publicity. We would visit hospitals for cancer patients. We'd bring all the sponsors niya, pizza, biscuits, whatever, water. Dadalhin namin, and he would spend half a day, a whole day with children who are usually neglected or need kalinga.
At sa harap ng kanyang tagumpay, hindi siya nakalimot sa Panginoon.
Lahat naman tayo, kumbaga, sa there's a sense of healing that we all have to go through, and Rico was going through that, but I guess the reason why it became a struggle was he was beginning to see ano ba yung hinihingi sa kanya ng Diyos.
Look at me, I'm as helpless as a kitten up a tree.
Blah, blah.
27 gulang si Rico Yan nang mamaalam. Maraming nanghihinayang dahil marami pa sana siyang mga plano. Marami pang pwedeng gawin. Gayunman, para sa kanyang pamilya at kaibigan, sa mga tagahanga at mga taong kanyang natulungan, sapat nang minsan ay nakapiling nila si Rico.
He was a good man. He was a really good man. His good was better than most. You know, he was better than most people. That's honestly all I can say. And it's a very sad loss for all of us, I think. But like I said, I think he's in a better place than most of us are.
Then he realized that God was opening doors for him, ano? With his new popularity and the movie and all. You know, ang lakas ng kanyang, well, ang dami niyang oportunidad.
It's like my mom was telling me, he called her the night before and he was very, very happy. He made her kwento about everything he did that day and he was very, very happy.
So now we are the What a Man.
Ang fear ko is, at the end of the day, masabi ko na I didn't do my best. At least sa akin, I did my best. Kahit na hindi ako mag-succeed sa showbiz. Basta masabi ko that I did my best, okay na yan.
Ako po si Ann Torres, ang inyong correspondent.
I don't know. I wake up every single day thinking na sana it's not true.
Ano yung may mga lugar ba na ayaw mong balikan?
Bahay ko, ayoko. I don't wanna go home. Kasi the pictures and he has some things there.
Mapapelikula man o mapatunay na buhay, alam ng lahat na si Claudine Barreto ang huling naging pag-ibig ni Rico Yan. Alamin ang nilalaman ng puso ni Claudine. Claudine, kahapon, nagpunta ka doon sa burol ni Rico. Ano yung naramdaman mo? Ikwento mo how everything happened.
I was still in shock, nung pagpunta ko doon. But I was, parang may butterflies sa tiyan ko. I just wanted to go there and see him. And, talk to him. Kasi iba kasing nandyan, nakikita mo.
Oo.
Iba pala talaga.
So, nung nakita mo si Rico, it was a different Rico, of course. What came through your mind? How did you deal with it?
I thought, at first, pagdating ko doon, my director, si Direk Man, was talking to me na, Claudine, ganito yun. Pagpasok mo, it's gonna be harder. Kasi nandyan na, makikita mo. I was expecting na hysterical. But it was too quiet to be like that. It was confirmation na it's true. But a part of me felt stronger kasi nakayanan ko yun. To see him there. And he looked so good.
Did you talk to him?
Yeah.
What were the words na sinabi mo?
Before anything else, I really asked him to help me. Sabi ko, Rick, help me na makayanan ko to because it's so hard. And I don't know and I'm scared. I'm scared to be alone. When akala ko kasi ako yung strong, yung ganyan, but it's hard pala when you're alone na. It's terrible. And I was just telling him, baby, you go to sleep na. You don't have to be scared anymore. It's okay. I'll be okay. Your family will be okay. I was telling him.
Nabanggit mo you've been together for 4 years at ang ikinamatay nga niya, namatay siya habang siya'y natutulog. You've witnessed yung sinabi ni Dominic na narinig nilang umuungol. This is something na nasaksihan mo yourself.
Something that I've always been scared of.
Ikwento mo yun, like for example.
Ilang beses na nangyari. Like, we've been working since mula sa pusa saan ka man, Lunch break, we'd sleep. all of us, ganyan. And everybody would say na maingay si Rico mag-snore. But there was one instance when we were doing Got to Believe, and I was shooting, I had to run from the other room because we were distracted by his snore. And when I saw him, parang he couldn't breathe anymore. And I was kicking him already, and I was saying, Rico, what's happening to you? And he was, wala, parang, but naninigas ka na. And then when he woke up, he was coughing and coughing, and he was choking. So, yun, I got scared.
And this
We
was
all got scared.
Oo. And this was something na sinabi mo na sa kanya na, alam mo, dapat pumunta ka ng doktor or...
Yeah, because I told him na, you know, Hans, I read in a magazine na when you snore daw, sabi nila na really loud, baka, you know, you have problems with your heart, your liver, or whatever, your pancreas or whatever. I was telling him.
How do you look forward now to a life na wala siya?
I don't know. I don't know. I wake up every single day thinking na sana it's not true.
Ano yung, may mga lugar ba na ayaw mong balikan?
Bahay ko, ayoko. I don't wanna go kasi the pictures and he has some things there. You know, in my kitchen he has pans na, you know, ginagamit niya when we cook. So much memories eh. You know, TV, yung DVD. Yung mga restaurants where we eat. I'm scared. I don't know.
Si Dominic kasi sinabi niya talagang it dawned on him daw na talagang grabe nung pumasok siya ng ABS. Doon talaga nag-iyak na siya ng iyak. Ikaw rin, you work together.
So I'm scared. I haven't gone home since. And I don't want to. But I know that I will have to face that soon.
Has he ever given you like a special token, like, I'm not sure, no, a ring, anything to signify yung sa katagalan nyo na?
A lot. Letters, you know. His text messages lately, before he passed away, you know. God, ang dami. You know, sa 4 years, you can't actually count what's the most special thing. But I guess the most special part of it all was the 4 years. It was hard. It was a roller coaster. He'd say that always. But we managed.
Yung text messages, for example, what were some of the text messages na ipinadala niya?
That he loves me, and Holy Week we'll go out na we're supposed to go to Palawan, to Baguio, wherever. I kept it all. I really did. And kasi I have 2 phones, and so both phones have. And the date nandun.
What were the best moments na the most romantic that you were together?
The most romantic, siguro yung mga out of the country namin, out of town. Kasi that's when you really get to know the person eh. And yung bonding is there. You know each other inside out. You know what this person hates and what this person likes. You talk about everything and anything under the sun. God, I'm gonna miss that. Sorry.
It's okay. Have you prayed lately? I mean, has this made you closer in a way to the Lord?
You know, I told Tita Connie Reyes nga na, Tita, I haven't been praying lately. Parang I'm just tired and scared. But yesterday when I saw Rico, I said, God, it's amazing how much strength you've given me. How you and Rico helped me. Na kaya ko pala. Kaya ko pa. But sabi ko, Tita, there are days, I was telling Tita Connie, na there are days na parang I feel na parang babagsak na lang ako. I'm just so tired and parang there's no air lang. Parang... But then, you know, she said it's okay, that's still praying. Huwag natin kalimutan si Rico. Pag namin siyang taong pinasaya, huwag natin siyang kalimutan. Is why what's the purpose of all of this, and I know God has a purpose, pero gusto ko lang malaman kung ano yun. Kasi I don't know what I don't know what it is.
Do you think you can go back to work? You have a daily soap opera. Kaya mong bumalik sa trabaho kung kailangan nyo na mag-taping?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know, but I just really can't think straight.
Alam mo, marami sa atin, mahirap ilagay ang sarili kung hindi nararanasan yung mamatayan ng isang minamahal sa buhay. Yan, yung mga bagay na yun, hindi mo na ikikwento eh. Kailangan maranasan. Paano na si Claudine Barreto ngayon? You have to start fresh. It's you, with your family, by yourself. What's Claudine going to be like now?
I don't know.
What do you want Claudine to be like now?
Stronger in whatever Rico wants me to be, siguro. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen when this is all finished. All I know is that it's finished.
If nagkaroon ka ng isang araw, halimbawa, knowing what you know now, na mawawala siya ganito kaaga sa buhay mo, what is one thing that you would have wanted to tell him or settle with him?
We settled everything we had to settle, you know. It was really fixed. He fixed everything before he left. Although, you know, yun lang, hindi mo siya na-hug ng matagal. I didn't get to kiss him or hug him, tell him na I love him. Hindi ko nagawa. I won't be able to hold him anymore. You know, and tell him that everything's okay, or nobody's gonna tell me, you know, you be strong because everything's gonna be okay, and I'm here and I'll protect you. Walang ganun na. Yun. I won't be able, I wasn't able to hug him and say goodbye. And I'm never gonna be able to do that. Ever.
Was there anything you regret in the past that you wish you could have corrected?
You know, it's funny, but every time I'd be with Rico, I'd always tell him, you know, I feel that this is going to be the last day of our lives. That I have to spend time with you. Parang we were just running after time. Kasi parang palagi kami nang uubusan ng oras. Na we had to really spend it really nice. You know, or very happy. Na parang today would be the last day. Kaya lang wala ako dun eh. So I didn't really get to say or do whatever I wanted to.
Somebody you loved very dearly. How is Claudine Barreto going to deal with this in the next couple of days?
I don't know. All I can do is pray and ask Rico to help me. Because I don't know. I don't know where to get, you know, the strength. All I know is that all I can do now is pray. And honestly, I don't know if I'll be okay or if I'm ever going to be okay. But I know Rico will help me. I know that God's there and I have wonderful friends and I have a wonderful family. And He doesn't want me to be like this. He won't want me to be like this for long. That's one thing for sure.
Anything you'd like to say in closing?
like what I've said, just please, huwag natin kalimutan si Rico. Marami siyang taong pinasaya. Huwag natin siya kalimutan.
Ipinaabot po namin dito sa The Correspondents ang taus-pusong pakikiramay sa mga inulila ni Rico Yan. At yan po ang aming pagtatanghal ngayong gabi. Sa ngalan ng aking partner na si Mari Caimo, ako si Karen Davila. Salamat sa inyong tiwala.